So you had a stressful day and you need to get away. So you lean into that top level advice. Just leave work at work. It'll be here tomorrow. And you believe them. So you walk through that front door of your house. You try to flip that switch, but you're lying to yourself because you know it ain't that easy. You're just pretending, presenting yourself like all is right in the world. But deep down, you're struggling. You put on that brave face, you get through the weekend, but that person that everyone needs you to be, that person who you are at home, the patient person, the present person, that person that's just a little bit softer and knows how to talk about this, says the real stuff, we don't believe that person belongs at work because then and only then would they know. Here's the thing that no one talks about when they give you that leave work at work advice. They're not teaching you balance. They're actually teaching you to be a double agent. And that double agent is required to operate in two worlds. They have two identities, two sets of rules, two different versions of the truth, constantly faking it to make it. And the whole operation depends on those two worlds not colliding. That sounds exhausting because it is. That research shows that the fragmentation, the psychological cost of performing that different version of yourself in those different contexts is clear. It increases your stress, it reduces your authenticity, and it erodes trust because people can feel that you're performing. They can't always name it, but they can feel it. And this kills your ability to lead because leadership requires people to believe in who you are, not just in what you say. Here's what I want you to really sit with. Most people, when they describe that version of themselves, that version that they leave at home or that version that they are at work, maybe the relaxed version, the funny version, the vulnerable version, they describe somebody they actually like. But when they describe that person they bring to work, the button up, never show weakness, always have all the answers version, they describe someone they're tired of. So the question isn't how do I balance these two people? The real question is why are you investing so much energy in that person if you yourself don't enjoy being them? I recently worked with someone named Diane. She's an operations director, sharp, driven. Her team respected the heck out of her, but they couldn't connect with her. And turnover was a huge problem for this organization. They also struggled with low engagement scores, and she couldn't figure out why. So I asked her a simple question. When you're not at work, who are you? Man, when I tell you that she lit up like the 4th of July, she started talking about her kids. She talked about coaching her daughter's soccer team and how she goes about getting on the ground with them and players and laughing and making it fun and pushes them hard. But they love it and they love her for it. So I asked her, why don't you be that person at work? Why don't you do that at work? That's not professional. Says who? She had spent 15 years believing that that version of herself that made people want to run through a wall for her, the real one, the warm one, the one that actually connected with people, was somehow inappropriate for the workplace. And because of that, her team was suffering. Here's the truth. The most effective leaders I have ever seen are not the ones who have mastered the performance. They're the ones who stop performing altogether. So how do you stop being a double agent? How do you collapse these two versions of yourself into one person who shows up the same way everywhere? You have to create alignment. Here's 3 questions, answer them honestly, and then do something with the answers. First one, who are you when nobody's watching? This is not who you want to be. This is not who you're working towards right now. In your most unguarded moments, what do you value? How do you treat people when there's nothing to gain? What makes you laugh? What inspires you? What makes you angry? And what do you stand for when it costs you something? Write this down, be honest. And that person, that unguarded, unperformed version of you, that's your baseline, the raw material. Question 2, who shows up at work? Now write this version of you down. This is that walking in the building person Monday morning. What do you suppress? What do you perform? What do you tend to hide? And where do you overcorrect? You see, most people, when they do this exercise, have a significant gap between the answers. And that gap, that space there, is the difference between who you actually are and who you're pretending to be. But the gap is where your energy goes every single day, and it's got to stop. Question 3. Who do you want to be everywhere? Not at work, not at home, everywhere. This is your identity question, and this is the one that matters. Because here's the truth that no one tells you in that work-life balance conversation that they want to say out loud. Balance is bull. The goal is not to be different people in different places. The goal is to become that best version of yourself and have that person show up everywhere. Now, this is important, and I need you to hear it. Alignment doesn't mean that you act the same in every situation. You don't talk to your kids the same way you run a budget meeting. Context matters. Your tone needs to adjust. But your values, your character don't change. Your commitment to being that real version of yourself doesn't change. And that version of yourself that's patient with your family, take that person to work with you. That version of yourself that has really high standards and can hold people accountable, take that person home with you. And that version of yourself that laughs and connects and makes people feel like they matter, that person goes everywhere with you. But here's the thing about that version of you that you've been told is unprofessional. That one that's too honest, too direct, or too human for the workplace. If you genuinely don't like that person, if that version of you is someone you're embarrassed or ashamed of, the answer isn't to hide them at work. The answer is to do the work to become someone that you're proud of everywhere. So here's your assignment, and it comes at you in 2 parts. Part 1, this week, bring one thing from your home self to work. Just one. Maybe it's your sense of humor. Maybe it's the way you'll actually listen when your kids are talking to you. Maybe it's the patience you show up on Saturday morning that disappears by Monday afternoon. Pick one, bring it intentionally. Part 2, bring one thing from your work self home. Maybe it's the clarity you bring through a project. Maybe it's the way you hold people accountable. Maybe it's the standard you hold yourself to when the stakes are high. Bring one thing home, do this for 2 weeks, and pay attention what happens. I promise you that the people around you will notice. Not because you've announced anything, but because alignment is visible. And people can feel when someone in the room is the same person all the time. And that person who's the same everywhere, that's someone people trust. That's someone who people want to follow because that person is actually leading. So to recap this thing, that leave work at work advice is complete garbage. It doesn't even actually work. It also teaches you to manage the symptom instead of solving the actual problem. The real work, the work that actually changes your life and those around you, is becoming someone that you don't need to leave anywhere. And that's the work we do at Limitless. Not just taking better leaders and making them better at work, but taking better humans and making them better humans everywhere. So my name's Josh. If this one hit home, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And I can't wait to see y'all next week.